It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Sense,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stand.
And don't forget you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com.
Welcome back to a Saturday edition of the Up North Journal podcast.
Saturday morning, and here we go.
And live stream.
Live stream, I'm ready to go.
You're entirely too happy.
Absolutely. It's now 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:02 to be exact. We are ready to fire it up this Saturday morning to go. I am ready.
God, calm down just a little. Jeez, oh Pete.
Hey, you wanted me over here early, and this is my morning.
The only time I act like this is when I'm out hunting.
No, you're not. You've got your head up against a tree.
No,
got your eyes
I'm usually
closed.
wide awake. Actually, by this time, I'm back at camp getting my coffee. Speaking of coffee, before we get started here this morning.
Actually, you're right. That's a good question for you. Save that for later in the show.
What's that?
That's a good question I want to talk about.
What question?
Times in the woods.
Okay, all right. But anyway, this morning, there you go. The brand new dark roast.
Not just dark roast.
The name is?
Black powder.
Black powder dark roast. Hunter's Blend coffee. Some good morning dark roast. So.
And you know what? We got it. We brewed it up, and we're trying it. This is the first time.
Yeah, and what do you think?
You know what? For being a dark roast, and I'm not no coffee aficionado for sure. Mm-hmm. Usually with a dark roast, it used to be like very bold and shocking. Mm-hmm. But this, for being a dark roast, you can definitely tell the difference.
Oh yeah,
but it's still smooth at the end.
Yep, no bitter aftertaste.
Right.
Very smooth. It is. It's like a black powder rifle when you shoot it. It's bold. It's got that boom. It's got that taste to it. But it doesn't have that kick,
right? Exactly,
of a bitter aftertaste. So
yep. So
yeah, hopefully by 15 minutes or so into the show, after drinking some of this, I'm gonna perk right up like you.
Hey,
we'll see.
It's the mornings that make the world go around.
So anyway, yeah, we got the new Hunter's Blend dark roast. And
yes.
Don't forget, for those of you who want to get some Hunter's Blend, go over to huntersblend.com, huntersblendcoffee.com. We've got a UNJ promo code. Type in all caps UNJ, and you'll get 10% off of your order. And that's right. Every time you go over there.
And they've got anything from ground coffee to whole bean coffee you can grind yourself. Mm-hmm. And they've got it in regular size
12-ounce bags,
K-cups, and 5-pound bags.
5-pound bags, yep.
So get over there, get yourself some, get a little discount on it, try it. Let us know how it works.
I guess I'm going to have to buy you another cup because you forgot yours.
I remember my other thing, so I was kind of happy.
All right. I'll let it slide this morning. So last week, we're going to start off with what we kind of finished with last week.
Yeah, we can start there. Why not?
You brought your pamphlet over.
I did. We went to Woods and Water last weekend and walking around, kind of getting a feel for the woods and the water. And I ended up over at...
Really?
You like that, huh?
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
What happened was...
Even my dog didn't like that joke.
Hey, come on. I was over in the area of Frank's.
Right.
Great Outdoors.
Uh-huh.
Talk about that in a second.
Okay.
And I stepped into an ice fishing shanty. Mm-hmm. The Otter.
The Otter.
And I don't have an ice fishing shanty. You do. Mm-hmm. And I've sat in that before, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, mine's a clam.
Yep, yours is a clam. This was an otter, and I sat in one of these things, and I said, OMG. And
why is that? What was the OMG moment?
Well, I just kind of thought about it, and I was sitting there, and I was like, man, it would be kind of nice to have one of these. And I was talking to Deb. She was with me, and I said, if we have one like this, you could go. We could put a little heater in the corner. We could. She said, sure. So I'm thinking about getting the Otter. Now, they come in different sizes, but I was looking at the construction of this thing. It's your typical, has a base sled. You can pull it by hand, or you can pull it by a machine if you want.
Well, that was one of the things here you're talking about that I saw, the tow hitch on it.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy a tow hitch for it, and it clamps right onto the sled and hook it to your ATV, and away you go.
Right, exactly. So that was very interesting for me, and I said, okay. So from there, we started to look around, and they had like a set on the right and a set on the left. They looked the same from the outside, but it was like, okay. So I had to get somebody and ask, all right, what's the difference here?
Seats and benches?
So basically, on one side was the bench seating, and on the other side was the individual seating. And what that was it was the Pro. Is it the Pro Series? Here, I got my handy dandy. Yeah, it's the Pro Series and the Over. They call it the Pro and then the Over. So basically, the difference is the Pro Series has like a thicker quality outer shell.
Okay.
The denier, and then the other one was not as thick.
Okay.
Talking to the gentleman, he says, really? You're not going to notice the difference?
Okay.
You know, there is a difference, but you won't notice it, from what he said.
Well, the thing that I noticed, and my Shanty doesn't have this, is that quilted inner liner. They've come out with that here in, I don't know, the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I don't know. I've had mine for a while. I wish I would have had that in mind, you know, and I'm kind of thinking of getting in the market for a new Shanty as well, so...
And so sitting in this thing, we sat in it, and so we were looking at the bench seating as opposed to the individual seating. And the first thing I noticed was when you wanted to put something down, it was like if you're in the individual seats, you're like looking for somewhere to put it down that's going to be in the bottom of the tub or it's going to be on the ice. But if you have the bench seat, you could sit it right next to you, and it's right there. So I thought the bench seating one was actually better at that time.
Okay, what you mean? Just like putting it on the seat on your seat?
Yeah,
next to you?
like if you got a camera or you got a fishing lure or something, you want to put it down but don't lose it.
Right.
You could sit it right next to you on the bench seat as opposed to the individual seating, which you end up probably putting it in the base of the tub or right back on the ice.
Right.
So
right. Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool. So I
to me, it looks like, too, between, like, the two pictures we're bouncing between there, they're both the same size, 30 square feet. It looks to me like you could probably, you obviously got more seat space there, a little more comfortable, a little more wiggle room. Maybe even probably put a small kid in there with you.
Exactly.
You know?
That was another thing about the bench seat. Easily, you could put 3 people in there as opposed to just 2 individuals and kind of someone having to stand. I definitely saw an advantage to that. The zippered, when you get to that, and you can see how they got the different sizes here, the 35 square feet, and they're kind of showing you, like, if you have this many holes. I kind of got scared when I see that many holes.
Right.
Someone's going to end up in one.
Swiss cheese.
Right? You know, but, yeah, so it was really cool. So I was talking to a gentleman about it.
So let me ask you this. When they're talking about the square footage size, is the bench longer as well as the flip over sticks out further, or are those sleds all the same width to begin with? And is it just the flip over portion?
Let me see if I can find that answer for you. How's that?
There you go.
Your dog is barking up a storm.
Yep. Hey, Denny Steiner, what's going on?
Denny Steiner.
Glad you're watching this morning.
Absolutely. Glad you're watching.
Deb's watching, too. She's like, she wants that 35 square foot one that we had up on the screen there. Right
she wants the resort, is what you're saying.
The resort? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's called the resort.
Yeah.
But you know what? I kind of like the lodge myself.
Yeah.
The 30 square foot one.
Yeah.
The lodge itself, 76 by 38 by 20, 18.
Okay.
30 square feet. It doesn't say the size of the bench.
Yeah. The dog's gonna. I tell you what. Don't we have anything to do this morning, Denny? Actually, no. I've got to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing the show this morning.
Right. Exactly.
And I tell you what. Let's take a quick commercial break. I've got to take care of my dog real quick.
Let's do that.
So I'm going to step outside, and we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you. So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
All right. Second segment of the show, minus barking dog.
Minus barking dog. He is upstairs in the bedroom with my wife.
There you go.
So he wanted to be upstairs. So
that's
what it was.
Because he gets away with everything up there, I bet.
Yep. So anyways. So we're talking about this shanty. You're talking about the resort and the lodge.
We're talking about the top of the biggest one at 35 square feet is the resort. Then they have the lodge at 30. And then we have the cabin at 22. Then they have one that's even smaller at the cottage. And to me, it looks like the bench stays the same. It might get bigger, actually. As you go.
You know, I saw them over there, and I walked through, looked at them, sat down on them. Didn't spend, I don't know. It's hard for me to get fired up right now about ice season. And we're just now getting into bow, getting ready for bow season. But, it's going to be here before you know it.
Well, that was the thing. I started thinking about that, and it's like, you're right. And getting ahead of the curve here, Frank's, they're having because I got the flyer, December is going to be here before we know it.
Yep.
They're going to have shanty days, so you can go to their place and check out some shanties. Another thing cool about these is you can have a light bar in there.
Yeah, I saw that.
He was showing me how it works. Basically, you attach it to the frame, and then you get a battery and hook the two clamps to the battery, and then you can have light. Because it can get dark in those things once you start.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And thinking about that, the doors to get in there, one on each side and stuff like that. There you go. You see the light kit there. But LEDs, I'm sure, would light that thing up nicely.
Well, and they're going to run on the battery. The LEDs don't take a lot of power.
Correct.
So it's not like you're going to, go through a bunch of batteries.
Right. So you could just get a lawnmower battery.
Right.
Put it in the tub.
Yep.
So that would be kind of cool.
Put it in your or the sled portion of it, and away you go.
Right. Exactly. So, so it's never really too early to think about another season that actually is going to be here quicker than we think.
Yeah. And the thing we've learned working in the stores, like Cabela's, in the past, they get their gear in. And like you say, you start seeing it around Thanksgiving, right around rifle season. And then in December, and it's like once the ice freezes, you're like, yeah, I'm going to get a new shanty. You go into the store and like,
they're gone?
They're all gone.
Right.
And they don't get more shipments of them in because all that stuff comes from overseas, and it's a 6 to 8 week shipping time to get that stuff in. Then it's got to go through the distribution center to get in the store.
That's where it can, and then you're allotted so many, and then to reorder by the time the whole cycle turns around.
It's spring turkey season.
Yeah, exactly. So and during these shanty days that they're having December 7th through the 9th, if you buy a flip over, you're going to get a free travel cover and a free light bar.
Okay.
So if you buy a pop-up, you get a free light bar. But a travel cover is kind of cool, too, because if you're hauling it on a trailer up north,
right,
it's always good to have, or you're just going over to the lake.
Right.
I know we can fit it in the back of my truck, but if you got to put it on a trailer.
Yeah. Well, and like for me, I got that tow dock on the back of my Jeep that fits in the receiver. And I just put it on that and strap it down, but you get the road grime and salt and all that kind of garbage.
Yeah, and it kind of helps protect the outer shell. So,
sure, absolutely. So.
Just something to look at, and I think I'm going to be making my way up to Shanty Days there in December.
Okay, all right. AJ Regal stopping in, Andy Eberhardt stopping in. Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for stopping in this morning and checking out the show. For those of you just tuning in,
it is Saturday.
Yes.
Your calendar is not deceiving you. It's Saturday morning with Mike and Dan. Isn't it great?
And he's just a little too wired, so I'm still trying to wake up. But so yeah, ice season. It's not going to be very far. Well, I don't know for us here in Michigan. We didn't have one last year.
Well, we did. We went out
one time,
and
that's the first time in 3 years.
Yep, and then
everything went.
So I guarantee you, if I go buy a shanty, it's kind of like buying a snowblower.
We're not going to have any ice?
We ain't going to have any ice. I hope it floats. But yeah, it's one of those things. Hopefully by sometime in January we can get on the ice. And
well, we can always go up to camp at my place, and we've always got ice up there. It's far enough north that we always have pretty good ice for quite a while. So
that's a good one by Mike Sanders. If you're looking at an ice shanty, seriously, you should consider one with side entry instead of front entry. Much more convenient with the front entry. You always have to step over the holes.
Right.
Just my 2 cents. Actually, it's actually 4 cents because this one actually comes with
2 doors.
2 doors on each side.
Now, see, I didn't take a picture of that. Flip it around here so everybody can see there.
It comes with 2 doors on each side, and there's a door on the front.
Okay.
And let me see if there's another picture. Hold on. Let me get a good picture for you. I got a ISO. Actually, you can't see it really good here, but door on each side. This is a front view, which would be this front zippered pocket.
Okay.
To look into.
Gotcha.
So it would be 3.
Plenty of options.
Plenty of options.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Mike Sanders, you make a really great point because the one thing my is the flip over style has the front door pocket, and every single time I'm in and out. Once I get established and set up, if I got to go outside, maybe to use the little fisherman's restroom, and then come back in. When you're in and out of that thing for whatever reason, you're stepping across the hole, you're stepping across your gear, you're stepping across your heater, your Vexlar, anything that you got like that. Any of your gear you've got down on the ice, you've got to step across that, and you're kicking stuff, and it's
or if you kick over the heater,
it's just a mess.
Or if you have a Vexlar and kick it down the hole. I know.
How big a hole you got?
I'm just saying, stuff happens.
Man.
I'm just saying stuff happens. Everybody knows it.
Throwing the Vexlar down the hole. Jeez, oh, Pete.
Hey.
Look out.
Somebody lost their phone, didn't they?
Yes, it was not me. It was not me. It was actually my son's friend. Actually, that was the funniest thing. Quick story here before we move on to the next part of the show. But we were out fishing, 3 of us in the ice shanty. Or actually, my son and his friend were in the shanty, and I was out on the ice with, I don't remember who was all there, but next thing I hear is like, oh no! And he bent over, and he had it in his shirt pocket, and the cell phone went right down the hole. The kid comes out, and he's like, well, what do we do? And you can look down the hole, and you can see it. We're only like in 10, 15 feet of water. And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, well, call it. And I go, call it? Who am I going to talk to? The fish? What do you want me to call it for? What was the purpose of me calling your phone? I did not understand that. What? You're going to make it ring and swim up,
Did you get the phone back?
No.
It was gone forever.
It was gone. It's still out there in 7 Lakes. Big 7. Out there just off the boat launch.
Is that where it is?
Yeah, just about straight off the boat launch, off that right-hand shore, out probably 30, 40 yards offshore, and then probably 100, 150 yards offshore off the boat launch. Not quite to Skybuster Cove.
I wonder how long it would have lasted if you would have called it.
I don't know. I should have called it just for fun, just to make it light up. And
right, exactly, and then watch it die.
Right.
That's funny. Yeah, that's another thing you got to be careful of, watching your pockets and especially phones and stuff.
I had one. I had my bibs on. My insulated bibs, and they've got the pocket where you can reach in.
Oh, yeah.
You hit your pants pocket. And I thought I put this in my pant pocket in the back. Actually, this was last year.
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
And next thing, I'm like, where's my phone? And I get up and I'm walking around, and I couldn't find it. I'm like, oh, man, did I completely miss it go down the hole? And all of a sudden, I could feel it around it went all the way down my pant leg, and it was between my pant leg and the bibs up against where my boot was.
It was just that close to slipping out on the snow.
Yep.
Or down the hole.
Yep. So.
Because if you would have lost it in the snow, I guess we would have been calling it. But
yeah, where'd it go? But yeah, so.
But no.
The fun of ice fishing.
Absolutely, there can be plenty of fun.
So. It's not going to be that far away.
No, it's not. So,
well, I'll tell you what. The other thing we're going to talk about today, let's save that for the last half of the show. So we've got probably about 5-10 minutes here if you want to fill it with something else.
Oh.
You had a question.
So, yeah, you were just talking about it. I was thinking about this. The time you spend on the field, is it different for bow hunting season than you do for rifle season?
Like the time I spend off field,
yeah,
in the
field?
like
you said at 10 o'clock, you're going to come back in for breakfast. Now
actually I don't. I usually try to stay out all day.
Okay, you're an all dayer.
Rifle season to me is easier for me to stay out of field all day because most of the time I'm in a box blind.
Yep, agreed.
So it's colder, got the heat turned on a little bit, and my chair does recline. I will say I've got a deluxe chair where I can
I
kick back like this and just sit back and
there you go.
have my gun across my lap, in the ready position,
Right.
just so I can just wheel up, come up, shoot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
bow season, because we get that curve in the middle of the day of being warmer.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll get out and do it during bow season. Once that morning hunt's kind of over with, depending on what's going on, depending on the weather and such, I'll get out and maybe do like a little scout/stalk.
Okay.
Slowly,
Yeah, we find that when we're up at camp for bow season, we tend to hunt the mornings, and then if we have a job to do during the midday, that's what we'll do it, and then we'll go out for the night hunt.
You're not worried about if the job's outside about maybe spooking game, making noise?
Actually, no. Whether you're chopping wood or sawing wood or whatever you're doing, not so much because they hear that all the time.
Okay.
And I got neighbors that'll surely gladly fire up the saw on November 15th at 8 a.m.
Okay. They're not hunters, I take it.
Yes, they are.
But their time is 365, so...
Well, their time is they're hunting. They live there,
right? So they can do what they want.
Whether it be 8 o'clock in the morning, November 15th, or I'm only there for a week usually. They're there for all 2 weeks, so they can just hunt as they go.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
And that did happen. There's nothing better than sitting on a ridge, all nice and quiet, waiting. All of a sudden, you hear voices, and you're like. Because voices travel,
right?
And then the chainsaw starts up.
Well, I gotta imagine too, since you guys did your little cutting up there, the voices carry even further and louder.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely carry. And we usually have a couple people walking the roads in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be walking this year. I've seen them in the past, but I know they like one couple they put on orange.
Okay, yeah, for good reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, just time of field and the times. That's what we kind of do. We kind of run our errands during midday, and then we'll go out for the evening hunt.
Okay.
That's kind of like if we have to gather firewood or we got to go to town, stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I'm more that type that I go back to camp, I go inside, I'll fix something to eat, get maybe take a quick nap, and then get up and get my pack ready and head out for the rest of the day. If I'm back into camp, I'm not in camp very long.
Okay.
A couple 2 or 3 hours at most, and then I'm right back out.
And sometimes we'll do that too. We'll come in, we'll eat breakfast, and then we turn right around and head right back out to the woods.
Yeah.
Depending on how what the deer are doing. If we're seeing a lot of movement, we'll be less inclined to come in.
During bow season too, I don't want to do any work. I mean, because of the noise is one reason, but the other reason is I don't want to work up sweat because I'm super anal about scent control.
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't want to. That's the one thing. If I'm coming back to camp, if I'm walking or riding my bike, which now that's most of the time, I'll take off my outer layers, put them back in the backpack, and go back in my base layers. So
exactly,
it's quite the sight. Imagine the neighbors like, there goes that crazy guy again in his underwear. My long leggings and long sleeve.
What we usually do is we'll come in, we'll eat breakfast. And then if let's say if we're cutting wood or something, we work up that sweat. We always shower before we head out.
Okay.
We always get the shower in and become as scent free as possible. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things that you're anal about it, and I'm conscious about it.
Right.
It's like all right, gotta get a shower at least.
Yep.
Because we basically strip down again and reapply the clothing.
Do you when you're cooking at camp? Do you have your hunting clothes inside?
Okay, so our outer shell stuff, our heavier stuff, we usually take it off and we'll leave it out on a tree outside.
Gotcha.
There's a couple of pine trees we draped over. Leave it outside. The underwear, long johns usually stay inside. What
about in the morning when you have breakfast before you go out? Do you suit up? Do you wear any of your hunting clothing to the breakfast table?
No. It might be in the cabin, but we're not eating with it on or anything like that.
Okay.
And usually breakfast before is very light and limited. It's usually maybe a sandwich or a microwave breakfast sandwich.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we head out.
Bacon. Get the smell of bacon all over you. I love bacon in the morning, but that's one thing I always eat, then I go brush my teeth, get all my, put my scent stuff on, like my base layers and everything. And my other stuff's, if I'd already hunted the day before, it's airing out.
Oh, yeah.
And then I put it in my pack and then I'm out the door.
Yep.
And then once I get to my blind, I dress, I suit up and get in stand. So
it's one of the things when we get to our areas, it depends on the length of walk, how much you're going to wear.
Right. Yeah.
Usually it's like, okay, take off the main coat, put that over the shoulder, carry it or something,
right,
and walk in,
right,
and then kind of just settle down, wait it, and then start putting layers back on.
Yep, as you're starting to get cold.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things. It's kind of weird that you do things and then you find yourself kind of doing them all the time.
Right.
Like showering.
Right.
Nope. Almost time to go to the woods. Let's jump in the shower.
Yep.
And then watch the hot water go down. And who's last?
Yeah. Who took all the hot water?
Right. So.
Yeah.
But all some of the things, and with bow hunting only 15 days away, get ready to go.
Bought your license yet?
No, I haven't.
I've got to get mine.
Andy Eberhard can't even think about ice fishing. It's not even bow season, he says.
Yeah, I know. It is tough to talk about it, but you know what? Out there at the Woods and Water event, they had the ice gear sitting out.
Yeah.
But like we had said before, it's when it comes out, if you want it, you got to get it, because once it's gone for the season. They don't restock. We like I said, we kind of learned that the hard way.
Right, exactly. Jacob Abrams. Good morning, guys. Been a long time since I watched. Well, thanks for coming back and watching.
Yeah, man. How's the dog doing?
Right.
Let us know.
Tim C. is at a soccer game. Sorry I missed your show.
Oh, we're right in the middle of it, Tim. So if you got it on, you can tune in and watch soccer at the same time. Actually, before we go to the break here, shout out to the guys over in the Appalachian area. And Tim's over there from West Virginia. Those guys are getting pounded right now from that hurricane. I know a couple people in the Carolinas. A guy I used to work with lives down in South Carolina. And, it's just be careful.
And you know what's so... Well, I guess we should have a fan blowing to give the effect that we have gale force winds in here. But
the video...
The video that you shared this morning, I literally... I almost lost it with my coffee.
Yeah.
But... The storm is not going anywhere.
No, it's just sitting and spinning and dumping rain.
At
3
to 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Did you see the alligator?
No, I did not.
They were shooting down some street, and
here comes a gator.
Here comes an alligator running into the next ditch, and then they showed about 5 deer swimming.
Okay.
And one was it was like 5 does and a buck, 4 does and a buck.
Okay.
They were swimming across, and and
we've
animals gotta.
We've talked about this so many times. It's like what happens to the wildlife when you get torrential flooding like that? We know it pushes certain animals out of the area, but there's some that don't get out of there because their natural instincts to hunker down.
Exactly.
And do they get out? What happens to bears? What happens to deer? Out in South Carolina, I saw that there was a barrier island out there, and it had wild horses on it. I never knew there was wild horses on an island out there in the ocean on South Carolina.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they said they just kind of hunker down and wait. They've made it all these years.
That's the thing. It's just you don't think about it, but you think about it, and then it's like, well, what happened to
the tidal surge that pushes in and pushes back? And that salt water pushes into those freshwater areas. What happens to the wildlife in the water? The fish. I mean, how do they cope with all that? Does it destroy those river systems? Does it take a time for it to clean itself back out?
I bet you that's what it... I think what it kind of does is, you have the surge.
Yeah.
And now you have the rains.
Yeah.
So you get the surge of salt water.
And then the rains push it back out.
Yep. That's
but does it kill animals in the meantime? And how long does it take for those fisheries to come back?
Right, exactly.
Can you fish this fall? Is it next spring or is it next summer? I don't know. I don't live in those areas, so I don't know the answer to that. But things that make you go,
Absolutely. And some of the things you don't even think about.
Right.
You just...
Like alligators run down the street.
Alligators running down the street. That kind of shocked me.
Yeah.
Well, they talked to a gentleman. He's like, yeah, and he had a stick in his hand, and he was walking on, and there's alligators in these waters. And it's like, ooh,
or you see reporters on TV leaning into wind that's not there, pretending that it's blowing them over.
And then you have 2 gentlemen walk behind you and just leisurely walking.
Yeah. If you wonder what that's all about, go to my Facebook page and you'll see the video there at the top. People from the Weather Channel.
I'm telling you, it was not windy on that side of the street.
Mm-mm.
It was only on his side of the street.
On his side of the street, the wind was blowing 60 miles an hour, about to blow them away.
Right.
So, but I tell you what, let's go ahead and take a break. We come back. We're going to shift gears a little bit. There was an article that came out from QDMA, I believe it was this last week. So we're going to step outside. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about this research article that came out and some of the findings that they have. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back, everybody. Third segment of the show. Sitting here on a Saturday morning having a Hunter's Blend black powder dark roast coffee.
Good stuff.
It is. I'm waking up.
For a dark roast, it's very good.
It is. Yeah.
And just so you know, if you want to try some, get over to huntersblend.com, huntersblendcoffee.com. Use the promo code capital UNJ and get 10% off.
There you go.
Just an FYI to everybody, get out there, try some. If you want 10% off, courtesy of Up North Journal.
That's right.
Use the code.
huntersblendcoffee.com. So.
All right. So you showed me a report before we went on air.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin is watching Chantel.
Okay.
And she's in Belgium.
Oh, nice.
So there we go.
Hello to people in Belgium.
Hello, Chantel, over in Belgium. Which she will be coming here.
You have cousins afar.
I do.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, rearrange the screens here a little bit.
Yeah, so this week, this came out this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
From QDMA.
Yeah, well, let me see what the byline. Yep, actually September 5th. So, yeah, a week and a half ago. And this story is 3 big CWD facts from the International Deer Biology Congress. That sounds important.
It does.
I didn't know we had a international
had a Congress?
Deer Biology Congress, yeah.
The IDBC?
Yeah, so. But, the first thing that they kind of kicking up here, the 9th Annual Deer Biology Congress, which is held every 4 years. And so that would mean it's been held for the last 36 years.
Yep, exactly.
So it brings researchers and managers from around the world together to discuss and advance deer management and conservation. It was held in Estes Park, Colorado
now
in August.
It said the 9th, and it happens every 4 years,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's 36 years. And being Colorado, we read that they've had it since the 60s.
68, 69, somewhere in there. Yep.
They
had 130 presentations that were given, and at least 20 of those focused on chronic wasting disease and its impacts on current and future deer management programs. So that's kind of the gist of that. The 3 takeaways, and we're going to concentrate on the last one, but the first one was population declines are real, and they talked to Dr. Mary Wood from Wyoming Game and Fish, who was talking about the mule deer. And they know there is a definite hot zone out there of CWD where they've got high concentration of CWD in the mule deer in that one area. So they were talking about some of her research. The next takeaway was focusing on antlerless harvest is important. And we've talked about that. We've endlessly here on the show about why.
And we've had people on here
talking about it.
Talk about it. And there's Kip Young himself,
yep.
Kip Adams.
Yep, Kip. Yeah.
How can I forget his last name?
Right? Come on now, man. So, and then the last takeaway was, is it still okay to protect yearling bucks? And that's been the big kerfluffle, I guess, in all of this. We've heard, especially here in Michigan, the DNR, the NRC is kind of taking that tool set from Wisconsin and moving it into Michigan to try to maintain or keep it from spreading, so on and so forth. And the big thing was, we've had the battle going back and forth here about the APRs.
Whether
it's a tool or not.
APRs, whether $1,
yep.
whether throw in your own version of whatever.
Yep.
But
the big thing they were talking about was the fact that, or their reasoning is, they say, well, in the older cohort, the concentrate or the prevalence rate. Let me get the terminology right. The prevalence rate is higher. So we need to be shooting bucks at a younger age and not letting them get into that older class. So it's, in our hot zones here, they basically said APRs off the table. Any deer that you got a tag for is legal to shoot.
And what they did is in the CWD zones, they pulled the second APR tag
off the restricted tag.
They unrestricted it.
So they can shoot any buck now. Anything over a 3-inch antler is fair game.
You can shoot anything and everything.
Yep.
So there's always been discussion about that.
Buck dispersal.
Kip Adams has been here in the state of Michigan. He's talked to the DNR, but we've also talked to him as well. And the one thing he noticed about Michigan himself about shooting the does, we're not shooting the does.
Right.
We need to shoot more does.
Right.
And somebody from the outside, the state, comes in and says, hey, the first thing I notice in your data is you're not shooting any does, or you should be shooting more does.
Yeah, and we've got a population explosion in a lot of areas in Michigan.
Right. Now,
not every area, but a lot of areas.
Right. So what this article that we're referencing is about protecting the yearling bucks. So kind of saying, yeah, definitely go shoot more does. You can actually let the 1.5-year bucks go. But when they get over 3.5, start taking your bucks.
Yep. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. I'm just going to blaze through this real quick because there's some good information in here. And like I said, this point was taken, is it still okay to protect our yearling bucks? Finally, one of the most important statements from the meeting with regard to CWD came from Dr. Mike Miller of Colorado Parks and Wildlife, one of the most respected CWD researchers in the world.
And I think it's fair to say this is coming out of Colorado. And they've had it, as far as I know, the longest in Colorado. That's where it all started, right? So this whole thing is coming out of Colorado. So it's not coming out of wherever, but it's coming out of a state that's had to deal with since the 60s.
Yeah, he's part of the Chronic Wasting Disease Alliance. It's an expert panel of 13 members. He's one of the 13. And I went and did a little bit of looking just to see, who he's aligned with and what's going on behind the scenes here. And these are people from the federal government, and certain state wildlife agencies, as well as people from Canada. And it's not aligned with, anybody particularly in the industry. These are people that are working out in the field, wildlife agencies.
And this goes from Canada to the United States to the USDA. Yeah, this just isn't a corporate...
Center of Disease Control, the CDC, and so on and so forth. So, he's in with this group, and that's where they're touting him is one of the leading researchers in CWD here. He's got the credentials to back it up. So, and it goes on, he said, when Dr. Miller speaks, people listen. He spoke one day at the IDBC on lessons learned during the first 5 decades of CWD. He shared while CWD prevalence is similar between the sexes in elk, it's about twice as high in bucks than does. And because of this, we should not be, you got to listen carefully to this, we should not be encouraging folks to practice QDM or manage for older bucks. Following his statement, there was a noticeable tension in the room. Attendees were scribbling notes, whispering amongst their peers, and mentally calculating how this would impact current deer programs and future recommendations. So right off the bat, you're thinking, well, he says, we can't manage for older bucks. This, we need to shoot the younger bucks, get them off the table.
Yep.
That's what you're thinking. My mind, the person writing this said, my mind immediately went to hunter participation rates and support for state wildlife agency programs. Dr. Miller seemed to be discounting the core buck management cornerstone of QDM, which is to protect the majority of yearling bucks. Currently, about 1/3 of all antlered bucks shot in the United States are 1.5 years old. Another third are 2.5 years old, and the remaining third are 3.5 years old and older. This age structure, as a result of QDM movement, pushed QDMA since our inception 30 years ago, provides incredible hunting opportunities and hunter engagement with their respective state wildlife agencies, which we have seen in the Northwest 12 since APRs were pushed. In the name of science, do we need to return to shooting every yearling buck we see in CWD-affected areas to keep them from reaching 2.5 or 3.5 years of age? Following Dr. Miller's presentation, there were a few minutes for questions. And with a heavy heart, this person said, I took the microphone and asked, Dr. Miller, based on your statements that we shouldn't encourage QDM or manage for older bucks, could you clarify what you mean by older? Do you mean we shouldn't manage for bucks that are 2.5 years old and older? His reply was, no. By older, I mean we should be managing for bucks that are 4.5 to 6.5 years old. That's what he considers an old buck.
Exactly.
He says, this person says, I was overwhelmed with relief that Dr. Miller's recommendations fit perfectly within QDMA's recommendations and practices for deer hunters in CWD areas, which we published in 2016. In that document, we state that QDMA's opinion that as long as hunters continue hunting, shooting antlerless deer, and helping keep deer herds in check, then it is more beneficial to have some antlered bucks in the population than to shoot all bucks at a young age. If mature bucks are scarce, some hunters will become less active and shoot fewer antlerless deer, which I truly believe. Our recommendation in areas where CWD is established in the deer population is hunters to harvest antlerless deer to help reduce deer density, continue protecting yearling bucks if they desire, and apply increased harvest pressure to all bucks 3.5 years old and older. He says, I believe some of the disagreement among deer managers today stem from a confusion over actual threat of yearling bucks on the landscape and a misunderstanding of the recommendations from experts like Dr. Miller. I'm proud of QDMA's harvest recommendations that fit perfectly within most current CWD research and management strategies, and I hope data from the IDBC can be used to enhance deer and disease management programs across Whitetails range. That's the article.
Now, I wish he wouldn't have said what he said. Why? Because I know they're going to pull that little snippet out.
Yeah, and run with it.
Mm-hmm. See, right here, it says kill them all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's going to be taken out of context to the 10th degree.
Yeah, older bucks. What does older bucks mean? No, we shouldn't have bucks 4.5 to 6.5 years old on the landscape in CWD hot zones.
Right. And so I wish he would have prefaced his sentence with something to try to, because someone's going to read 2 paragraphs of this article and be convinced. They're not going to go down to the 3rd paragraph where it explains.
Yeah, well, if you look at this, he says this in...
Right there.
Is it right in the first paragraph?
Right in the first paragraph, but it takes to the... Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, right in the first paragraph, and it takes to the 3rd paragraph for the explanation of his statement.
Yep.
So I'm going to take this first paragraph, and that's all I'm going to need to put out there. Everybody say, see, this is what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's
it's the little stuff like this that I'm finding out, and this happens with everything. The more we read, the more you try to sift out stuff that is good, that's bad, or that something that was said that could have been taken out of context. They just,
I hear you.
It's annoying.
Yep, I hear you. I understand exactly what you're saying.
I guess I'm going to have to just call it the weather guy phenomena.
Right?
Right. You know, and it's just one of those things. It's like, so here we go, and this group is from Colorado, and it's just not all Colorado. From Saskatchewan to Colorado, to Washington.
Saskatoon,
yes. So it's just not a group of just one guy out of writing for his personal gain. It's this group got together, probably reviewed this material, and said, here it is.
Right.
Like they said, there was 130 presentations at this conference.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think it's just a little bit more proof that we can put out there that says this is why we need to do what we need to do.
Well, what's nice is to finally see somebody from a wildlife agency, a CWD leading researcher that's got he's 10 fingers deep into this. He's this guy's into it, and he's seen the research. He's from Colorado, where they've been dealing with us from the inception, and it has the data and sifted through it and says, no, what we need to be doing is keeping to keep these herds thinned down, and to do that we need to be shooting more does. In order to do that, we need to engage the hunters, and we need to kill the older bucks. Without any older bucks out there, you're going to lose hunter participation.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. And with that goes down, it takes away from the doe harvest as well. Kill.
And when that happens, and then I think there's the other part of this too. When the recommendation comes out, and if you read it, and it says basically just shoot everything, hunters get scared.
Sure they do. They're going to back off.
They go, I don't want to shoot everything. I used to see 100 deer in my field, and I was happy to sit out there and watch them.
Right.
Now, you just told everybody around me to shoot them all with no regards to anything. I'm going to go out there and see 0 deer.
Yep.
The possibility. And so they get scared. Well, I'm not going to shoot a doe for that reason.
There's a balance between both extremes of
absolutely
do nothing and get rid of them all. There's common ground that we have to meet. And the first thing I think that people in this state that they're hunting need to, and I'm talking about all hunters, not just deer management people, because they understand it, but the guys who hunt state land, the guys who go out, maybe what we call weekend warriors, because that's the only time they can get out and go during rifle season. They need to understand that if they want to continue to have deer to shoot, we need to start managing our deer herd, which means shooting does. Shooting the right does. You know what? And whether you believe in talking about, older bucks, younger bucks, whatever, you know what? Don't listen to just us. Get out there, get on the internet, and search credible people and look at the research.
Right.
That's what we ask. Educate yourself.
There's plenty of magazines out there still that you can read, that you can get. You can sit there and read on your time, whenever you have that time, to whether it be like a Michigan Outdoors, the Woods and Water, local publications, national publications. Educate yourself.
Back years ago, before I came to the deer management side of things, when I heard QDMA, the first thing I thought of was trophy hunters. I didn't know enough about it to understand what they were really about. And as I slowly started reading things and educating myself on it and listening to people, not just QDMA people, but listening to other people and what they had to offer, everything started kind of lining up. It's like, yes, this makes sense. And the more research you do on it and the more you educate yourself on it, you start understanding. Big bucks is a byproduct of proper deer management. It's a win-win.
Right.
It's a win-win.
And they've seen with data in the Northwest 12 about the hunter participation up there. Also, the economy factor. More people wanting to go to that area to hunt because of the chance that they
shoot a big buck.
Which led me to my discussion I had this week with some people.
I tell you what, you want to pick it up there? Okay, all right. We're going to step outside. We're going to take a break real quick. We come back. We're going to let Danny continue down this road. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Last segment of the show.
And I finished my dark roast.
And?
For a dark roast, smooth and good, man.
Glad to hear it.
Black powder dark roast.
Black powder, that's right.
And just a friendly reminder, get over to huntersblendcoffee.com.
Right there you go. Go over to huntersblend.com and get you some. And don't forget, we've got the UNJ promo code. Plug that in, UNJ in all caps.
And you get 10% off
your order. Not just your first order, but every order after that.
Right.
Plug that thing in.
Plug it in.
So, where were we at? We were talking about something about...
So we were just talking about the Northwest 12 and the data coming out of those 12. It showed hunter participation. It showed the kills. But it also showed economy and how economy is picking up in those 12 because more people are going there.
Where did you see this at?
It's in the... They had this, there was a presentation, and I can't remember his name, but they kind of talked about all those factors.
Okay.
And I had a funny thing talking to some coworkers this week, and we were talking about this thing, and one guy says something about CWD. You're going to go shoot, eating CWD, shooting a CWD. I said, and I threw back some facts about not knowing how it's even transmitted. So how do you know?
Right.
We don't even know those things. But anyways, what it came down to was I said, have you ever seen on the cover of a manual or anything like that, a person holding the 4-point? No. So if we get to our older bucks, bigger bucks, that would help the economy, and Michigan become, in some counties, can be a destination.
Mm-hmm.
But if, like, when you talk to some hunters and you say, hey, are you going to go to Kansas? You're going to go to Iowa? And they're like, oh yeah, that's
right.
How would you like to hear? Let's go to Michigan. You
Mm-hmm.
don't hear that in the same sentence,
right?
So it's just funny to hear somebody throwing that out there. And then I said, but up in the Northwest 12 where they have APRs, all these good things are happening.
Right.
And it could lead us to that. And it went exactly. See, that's not a 4-pointer. It's not a spike.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is right on Michigan's
there you go
DNR page. The very first thing on hunting. So let's click on deer. But what do you see on the Deer Hunting Digest this year?
Hey.
What do you see?
You see a deer.
Well, that's probably a doe. That's a doe. That one there is a doe on the CWD information. Antlerless Digest obviously is a doe. This might be the first time I've ever seen the Michigan Deer Hunting Guide that did not have a buck on it.
Right.
But it definitely doesn't have a spike on it or a fork horn,
No. So it's just one of those things. Tom Gensel is in the duck blind and saw Mike's review of the storm this morning.
Oh, the guy getting blown around, so to speak, by the big storm. Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. So I don't know. But anyways, educate yourself, and I think that's where we're going with what we do here is more of the educational side of things, getting information out to people to make your own judgment. We're not telling you what to do.
Yeah,
we have our own opinions.
Get out and read. Yep.
Like you said, this came across this week. We read it, kind of put two and two together, and if you follow the whole timeline of it coming out of Colorado, these people have been there, like you said, they're 10 fingers deep into this, so it's just not some.
Well, this goes right in hand also with the argument about the buck dispersal. The yearling buck dispersal. The mama doe kicks them out. Come into the next fawning season, and they're saying that's helping to carry disease. Which yes, it can. It takes that disease from that family group, moves it to another family group when he finds a new home range. Why do we not take and get rid of those older does that are pushing these bucks out of the area?
Right.
You keep that. You take more deer off the landscape, thin that herd down, and then those bucks have more room to stay in that general area.
Yep.
So they're not cruising 5, 10, 15 miles, 20 miles away, taking that disease on down.
Exactly. And if you shoot the older doe, her fawns of that year will probably stay in the area.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So
they're not going to disperse.
They're not. Those does are not going to disperse. You now have meat for your freezer.
Yep.
Feed your family. You've taken a doe. The does are going to stay. The bucks will stay because they're not going to get run off.
Right.
So and I've seen that in my own little laboratory in the backyard.
Right.
I just got one buck. Well, actually, I got 2 bucks. I got an 8-point and a little button buck. But last year I went from $5 to
the main buck that's around the area and a fawn buck.
Yep.
So the rest dispersed.
They're gone.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't seen them, and I'll probably hear usually the first week of November. I'll start to get the travelers.
Right.
And I'll start catching them coming through. So we'll see.
See what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what different bucks I see. But
right.
And just so pretty much there's no hunting pressure because I'm in the city limits, so we technically can't hunt there.
Right.
Or it's illegal. But so it's kind of proved to me this year what happens.
Right. So, but that's pretty much the CWD rant we got for the day.
Yeah, for the week.
It's just finally there's somebody out there that's got some clout that understands this, that is actually explaining what older bucks means, and the fact that we still need to promote those year and a half old bucks into their second birthday to 2.5-year-olds.
It wouldn't hurt for this state to give it a try and see how it works.
No, that's the whole thing. Is what's happening now hasn't been working. We've seen it in the TB zone. And that's why we started a co-op. That's why we're doing deer management, and we're working with a land consultant and deer management consultant to start turning the area around.
Yeah.
And making a difference, because what they've been doing up there for the last almost 2 decades is not working.
You still got an overpopulation of deer.
Yeah. And last time I checked trail cams, I didn't see a shooter buck on camera.
Right.
Although I've heard a couple reports come back that there might be some places I need to hang a camera. So we'll see.
Cool. That's good. It's always good. They're gonna the bigger bucks are going to finally start to show their face here soon.
Mm-hmm.
And
I hope so.
I hope mine don't go away.
But I will say, I ain't afraid to shoot a doe. I mean, I got plenty of arrows in the quiver. And a fistful of tags, hopefully. Right. So that's what I'm going to do.
You know, it's just one of those things. Educate yourself and help do the right thing.
Yep. You know, looking ahead just a little bit. Hey, Ron Moses, I wonder if are you on the road watching the show today? Are you out traveling?
I bet you he is.
I bet you he's out of state.
Oh, he might be. If he came home, he might be in state.
But kind of looking ahead a little bit. This is not confirmed in any way, shape, or form yet, but Danny and I might be down at Cabela's in Chesterfield November 3rd, which is a Saturday. There's a new program that Cabela's is getting involved with called Field to Fork. I know Mossy Oak's involved with that heavily as well. Yeah. They've kind of tried this program in Kentucky and Georgia, and it's a big hit. You know, it's basically getting new people involved in the outdoors, getting them out hunting. That's the field portion. And then to the fork, what we're going to be trying to do down there, if we can get our schedules aligned correctly, is showing people once they get their game, how do you get it and put it in the freezer? What do you do to get it, processed if you're doing everything on your own instead of taking and paying a butcher? So
right, exactly. And that's the thing. Basically exactly what it says, from the field to the fork, right?
Yep.
And everything in between. And what Cabela's is doing is showing you, actually Cabela's and Bass Pro, is showing you the side of, okay, here it is. Now what do you do with it?
Right.
How do you, from cutting it, grinding it, to putting it, storing it,
right,
and then finally, what do you use to cook? You help cook it,
right? So, and if I'm not mistaken, check your local area Cabela's and Bass Pro. But I do believe this is going to be across the nation. Don't quote me on that, but I think they're going to be pushing.
Yeah, I think this is across the nation.
They're rolling it out across the nation, so might be a good opportunity in archery season to maybe get somebody out there and start teaching them how. It's always a good time to teach them how to hunt. Get somebody out there, but once we get them to that point and we get them into the field and they get game, don't stop there. Show them what to do with it afterwards. So
and for some people like myself who I usually run out of time or else it gets too warm, I take mine to the processor. And like you ran into a frozen deer.
Yep.
But just that little extra knowledge, more education, right?
Right. So if all goes as planned and we are able to make this event, I'm hoping to be rolling in that morning from camp, and hopefully I've got in the cooler, I've got a quartered up deer, and we can show people right there. Maybe that would kind of be kind of cool if we could pull that off.
I ain't saying nothing.
What, you don't think I can get one in the cooler?
Once we plan something like this,
the wheels fall off usually.
Somewhere the deer don't show up. There's a hurricane. It's one of those things like, you better be picking up a shoulder roast on your way down.
Right. So, well, actually, I think that they've got plans for that.
Right. So
backup plan. So
good. So,
like I said, we're not locked into that.
Actually, we just found out about that yesterday.
Yeah.
So we got to get our
ducks in a row, so to speak. Yep. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Other than that, get out there in Michigan. Small game season has begun.
Yep.
Youth hunt, Liberty hunt coming up next couple weekends.
There's still early goose season.
I heard some shots this morning.
Yep.
They were out there over somewhere. I don't know if it was the park or it was a field.
Somewhere near you.
Yeah, I heard shooting. And then keep on practicing for bow season.
I've been doing that. I've been out shooting the bow every day I can. Plan on shooting today as well. Putting the pool to bed. Actually started that process this morning before you got here.
Okay.
Started putting chemicals in to shut the pool down for the year, so that's going to be done. Archery practice. Next weekend, I'm hoping to go up and set some stands.
Okay.
That's probably going to be a 2-week process. The following week, I've heard there's a meeting with our state wildlife agency.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to find out more information on that to find out exactly what's going on. So hopefully I'll find out about that. Yeah, right. So we'll see how that shakes out. So those are a couple things I got coming down the pipe for myself. And then we got the opener of archery season. When do you plan on going up for the first time?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I got the middle of my month is going to be busy.
Okay.
So I either going to have to go the first week or the last week.
Okay. All right.
So.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up on the weekends. There'll be short trips blazing up and back, but we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I've definitely got a week off plan coming up, and hopefully good things happen.
There you go. So. It's that time of year. It's going to be here before we know it.
Right. All right. I tell you what, that's going to do it here for the podcast portion of the show, folks. So get out there and hit it hard this week. Take care.
And don't forget you can catch us in syndication at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on goodtalkradio.com. This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Carbon Express,
Fourth Arrow Camera Arms,
Wind Scent Hunting Scents,
Killer Food Plots, Seeds, Supplements, and Attractants,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Limb Walker Game Calls,
Twisted Minds Bowstrings,
Hunter's Blend Coffee,
Antler Action,
and Family Traditions Tree Stands.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.